Hi, my name is Julie, and this is the amazing Elizabeth.
Hello, and we're here for Reader's Corner. Today is Get a Life, Chloe Brown by Talia Hibbert,
Yes.
because we're doing romance and rom-coms. And if you've been here before, you know the drill. But
Yes.
let's talk about love. What do
Yes.
we got?
Okay, so first we want to make sure that we tell you guys that this book is available on Hoopla in both audiobook and e-audio and in ebook. So definitely check it out. And the sequel dropped this week. So it came out
Yesterday.
on June 23rd. Yes. Yes. So definitely check that out. Both Elizabeth and I are super stoked about hopefully reading it soon. All right, so
Sequel is actually available through Overdrive, but it's currently on hold, so you're going to have to put a hold on it to get a hold.
yeah,
To
I'll
get
have
your
to
own.
wait, but I bet you it'll be worth the wait. So
Oh,
enjoy.
so far it is.
And while you're waiting, you can read the first one. All right, so we're going to go through the definition of what a rom-com is and the themes and characteristics super quickly, because we're hoping that most of you have seen our previous videos, and if not, you should hit pause and go back and watch them because they're amazing.
They're fabulous.
Yes,
we're fabulous.
We're fabulous. All right.
And the books are fabulous, more importantly.
Yes, the books are totally fabulous. All right, so of course, shocker. Or is everyone ready for the shocker? Rom-coms contain romance and comedy.
No.
I know.
What?
I know.
No.
I know. I know.
Sounds fake, but okay.
I'm sorry to be sorry. So the main thing about pretty much any romance is the emotionally satisfying and optimistic ending. That's what you want. You start a romance because you know that there's the boy and the girl. Well, there's person A and person B. Person A and person B.
Not just the boy and the girl.
Yes, no, not the boy and the girl. Any two, person A and person B, and that they will end up together at the end. And that's why you read the book, because happy endings are lovely. And
yes,
they make us happy.
Happily ever afters. I think the romance writers circles call them the HEAs. If you don't have an HEA, then it's not a rom-com. It's something else.
It's something else, yeah. And that being said, not all romances technically end happy, but the couple, at least they get together. There's a coupling. So,
right.
And that's the point of the book. There's all these other things that can be going on in the book and all these other themes, but the main point of the book is the love that they feel for one another.
And how they grow as people through that love.
Yes. So rom-com, love, funny, boom.
Yeah, sums it up.
Yes.
All right, so this particular rom-com is Get a Life, Chloe Brown, and it hits both love and funny perfectly. So
laugh out loud funny.
It's really good. Yes. So we've got this character, Chloe Brown, who, as the title implies, wishes to get a life. Mainly because in the book's first chapter, she almost dies by being hit by a car. And if you read that first chapter and you're like, meh, don't worry, things are about to get interesting. She moves into a new apartment, and her apartment's superintendent is named Red, and he rides a motorcycle. And as everyone knows, men who ride motorcycles definitely know how to have lives. Except actually, Red is just an artist who likes hanging out in his apartment drawing pictures, and Chloe's the one who wants to go out and get wasted on the town. So really, who's the one getting a life here? I'm not sure. But she rescues a cat stuck in a tree, they hit it off, they start this little arrangement where he's going to help her achieve some of her hopes and dreams in exchange for her helping him get some advertisement out in the art world because he's allergic to computers, and love blooms. Also, Chloe Brown, this novel is notable for having a protagonist with fibromyalgia and chronic pain, and a protagonist who's just gotten out of an abusive relationship. So we'll talk about both of those. The author's name is Talia Hibbert. This is her first traditionally published book, though not her first book. She actually has 17 books available for purchase on Amazon. So yeah, if you like this, there's more. And like Chloe Brown, she has fibromyalgia and chronic pain. She comes from a Jamaican family, like Chloe Brown, and is in an interracial couple. And has written tons of other books. From what I've heard, they're all fantastic. As for this book, social media has opinions.
Yeah, so Amazon has given it 4.5 stars, and I just took this little snippet from Bigfoot Girl. She says, I'm obsessed with the heroine, Chloe. I love how she isn't a cookie-cutter heroine. I think she's more relatable. She is plus size. She is a woman of color. She has chronic pain. She is someone who I want to who I want to be my friend. I love her bravery. She decides to make some changes in her life and to live it to its fullest. I want Red in my life. I love how he wasn't perfect. He had issues of his own to work out, and he gave me warm fuzzies. I feel
Oh,
like that's all you need right there. It's just that.
there you go.
Goodreads gives it a 3.85 stars, and let's see, Warda says, this story is literal happiness. That's literal happiness.
There you
And
go.
Hoopla, it has 4.5 stars.
Excellent. So, what do we think about this book? I feel like I kind of agree with all of the good reviews. I enjoyed this a lot.
Mm-hmm. I definitely cracked up out loud multiple times. I listened to the audiobook and I did hit pause. I was laughing so hard so many times because just the ridiculous situations they would get into. Mostly Chloe.
Mostly Chloe.
Yeah.
And then I read this as a physical book and still really enjoyed it. There were a lot of moments that I cracked up. It wasn't all a barrel of laughs, though. The one moment that I particularly remember is at about 3/4 mark. I remember just sitting there and I am crying over this book. I am tears. And then I had to put the book down and walk away and go wash my face because it deals with some tough issues
It
to
really
go with all
does.
that funniness that you're talking about.
Yeah,
So
it's like a multi-layer cake. Or an onion, if you will. It has lots of layers.
and lots of tears. Except don't you like
Yes.
the onions for the tragedies, so cake, because also lots of
Yes.
sugar.
Yes,
It's
like a
great.
parfait.
And spice. Parfait. Um, I really liked that this book started a female protagonist, Chloe, dealing with disability and chronic pain. I
Mm-hmm.
was trying as I read to think of other books I've read that touch on that. I don't think I've seen a single other book in the romance sphere that actually deals with a protagonist with chronic pain personally.
No, there are things that happen to people where they may have chronic pain for a short period of time, but I guess that's not chronic though. They may have pain for a short period of time, but not chronic necessarily that I can
Right.
think of. I'm sure they exist, but I can't off the top of my head.
There's a lot of injury, but not so much the chronic, okay, this is the life, this is the condition that I live with, this is what this means for my life. And Chloe does touch on how that's caused complications in her life too, how when she started to deal with some of the symptoms of fibromyalgia, a lot of her friends just pieced out, which sucks. So you don't get that same thing with injury as well. I also like how she has to make it clear to the reader, to Red, to everyone, yes, this influences what I can do, but it doesn't control my life.
Exactly. Yeah, and I really like that she explained it so well, just the whole idea that she may want to go out with her friends and she may want to go out on a date with somebody, but she just physically can't because the pain is just debilitating and exhausting. And it felt very, very real, like the explanations that were given. It felt very, very real.
Yeah, it kind of ties into what you and I were talking about with spoon theory,
Yes,
right?
yes.
The disability community's idea of spoon theory, which is you start out each day with a certain number of spoons,
Mm-hmm.
and every task takes one or more spoons depending on its difficulty. A shower is a spoon, getting a meal is a spoon, cleaning the dishes is a spoon, and then sometimes it's all you can do to get showered, get dressed, and get in front of your computer, and you've used all the day's spoons.
Mm-hmm.
Which is interesting. And then abilities like chronic pain, like stressors in the world, might knock down the number of spoons you have that day.
Yep. And if you did too much the day before, instead of
Then you're
having your
exhausted.
set number, yeah, you start off the day with less spoons already.
Right.
And I thought she just did a really good job of explaining you know, just explaining everything, what it's like, how she feels, the fact that that should not be the thing that defines Chloe as a person, but it is a part of her.
Definitely.
Yes.
To go with that, we've got two protagonists dealing with some unusual issues.
Oh yeah.
I hated it because of course it sucks and I want to give him a hug. But I liked that the book dealt with the idea of a man who recovering from an abusive relationship.
Yes.
Red just got out of a physically and emotionally abusive relationship.
Yes, she's horrible.
Which she's the worst. We hate her forever.
Trash human.
Trash human. But it deals with both the physical and the emotional sides of the abuse and how that has impacted Red's self-perception, the emotional much more than the physical, and how that affects his interactions with Chloe after that point. He's not over there like some damaged bird. unable to interact with people. It didn't destroy him, but it still means that in certain circumstances he hears something and he goes, okay, maybe you didn't mean it this way, but other people have meant it this way. I'm used to there being hidden messages, and that's what I receive. So that was really interesting for me personally to read. That was actually the part where I started crying, was when I started reading about how he was dealing with the effects of gaslighting after the fact.
Yeah, and just the entire idea that things would trigger him that, and it would almost throw Chloe off, because she would just be like, but wait, what's happening now? And I felt that both the author and the characters did a really good job of kind of trying to unpack what was going on with Red. And so it was not just like, oh yeah, I was in an emotional relationship and things pop up. It was like a slow, like, unpacking of everything that happened, and Red really coming to terms with everything that he had been through and the lasting effects of what he had been through.
And coming to like himself as a person again,
Yes.
Which was big. Like, because he did
He's
like
wonderful.
himself, but he just had like occasional little moments of, oh wait, I suck. Which, no, of course he doesn't. He's Red. He's wonderful. We love him.
Perfect.
We bring him. He is a lovely human, but he still have moments where he's like, oh geez, and moments where he would brace himself for a bad reaction from Chloe. And that's actually one of the main criticisms of the books I heard, right? Is that Chloe is rude sometimes.
Yes.
Like,
she is blunt.
She is very blunt. Which, number one, so this is an interesting intersection of both of their damage, right? Because she's got fibromyalgia, which means sometimes she's in so much pain that, like, if you've ever stubbed your toe and tried to talk to somebody like a normal human in those next 3 seconds, it ain't happening. So imagine being in toe stub land for 28 hours and then extend that. So, like, I get it. She's rude sometimes. But also, weirdly enough, that's what makes Red feel comfortable. And I feel like that's something that doesn't often get explored, is the fact that she's blunt and rude. It makes him like, okay, she said she liked my stuff, and she's a jerk, so she'd never lie about that.
Well, and I think, too, it comes from everything that's happened to her because of the fibromyalgia. You know, her friends left, her boyfriend left, and everything else. And so it's like, well, if being nice and trying to, you know, tread carefully and everything didn't work, fine. This is just who I am. This is what I think. If you don't like it, there's the door, because I don't need you in my life. I've been lived this long without you. I can live without you still. And her bluntness was it was both refreshing, horrifying, and hilarious.
It was. All 3 of those things. And she's not mean. I feel like I said jerk, and I should revise that statement, because she's never mean. Mm-hmm. It's always the sort of thing where, like, somebody does something terrible, like, you know, letting their small child point and laugh at somebody with a disability, and so she tells them that that's a bad thing to do.
Yeah.
Like, that's not the worst thing. Or, like, she's grumbling at a cat while she rescues it out of a tree. She's not like,
oh my god, the cat!
I love the cat so much.
The cat.
She, like, has this detailed conversation with the cat where she's like, do you need help? No? Okay. I know it looks like you need help, but sometimes I look like I need help and I don't need help. Okay, I'm going to climb the tree. If you don't need help, just, like, come down on your own, okay? And, like, it's just, no, it's happening.
And, like, the whole time, like, I can't believe you made me climb up this tree. And look at you, the cat. And
then she gets down from the tree, and she's so happy she climbed the tree, and, like, she gets the cat treats, and she spoils the cat in, like, a week, and adores
Were you just yelling at the cat? No, I love the cat.
The cat is perfection. And
it's everything.
So, yeah, that's important to clarify, is that she's sort of blunt and sarcastic, but she's not vicious or cruel ever. That's like an important distinction to make, because viciousness
definitely,
the abuse side of things.
I would totally agree. I also like her sense of independence, just the entire idea that, you know, she had the accident where she had the near-death experience, and it was like a wake-up call, which as a literary tool is not my favorite, but
I felt it didn't fit in this particular story. Like, that, when you mentioned to me when we were prepping for this, that there was a scene where she got in a near-death experience, I didn't even remember it, because I was like, this doesn't match with anything else of the character that I know about. It didn't feel like the story started there.
Yeah.
It felt like the story started in the next chapter.
Yes. But she essentially, like, she has this bucket list that she's trying to, like, knock things out of. And one of the things is, you know, she'd been living with her family, and she's like, all right, I want to be on my own. I want to be independent, which I thought was completely amazing. However, the author and the characters point out a significant amount of the time that Chloe comes from privilege. Chloe has the
She
means
is
to make
rich.
these decisions. She gets
She
the
is
money. Yeah. And I don't think that that's necessarily a choice that everyone in her position could make.
True that. Yeah, that's a really valid point. So a lot of who Chloe is, like the way she can carry out her career as a freelance business owner from her own place, the way she's able to afford an apartment on her own in a big city, as someone with a disability, a lot of these tiny factors like become more challenging.
Yes.
Without that little money backing you up thing.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, it's also fun because the author says that she drew from Jamaican culture as to how like connected the family is with one another. So at the beginning of the book, Chloe still lives with her family, which is a more common thing for Jamaican families, even through adulthood. And when she moves out, her sisters keep coming over and being like, "Hey, you can move back. You
Her
could come
sisters. Oh my
back."
gosh, her
They're
sisters.
great. I love them. They're the worst. They come over and they're like, "Hey, so that sexy landlord." And she's like, "Don't talk to me about the sexy landlord." And they're like, "Okay, are you eating? Also, he's very sexy. Also, here's some food."
And are you going to do anything about the sexy?
Or should I?
Yes.
Just kidding, I won't, but you go for it.
Which kind of hits on the fact that the author kind of, takes the typical like objectification and flips it, because there's a lot of objectifying of Red and a lot of
Iffy about that,
stereotyping. Yeah.
honestly. Like, I feel the book does a decent job of calling it out later.
Mm-hmm.
There's like, the scene that sticks out to me is the scene where she asks him to Chloe asks Red to take her to his favorite place. What are pronouns? I don't know. So he takes her to an art museum, and he's prepped for her to be like, "Oh my gosh, well, you're a sexy bad boy. Why did you take me here?" And instead, she's like, "This is cool. You're such a dork. I love it." And he's like, "Oh, good. Thank you. I appreciate being appreciated for who I am as a person." And
And
that
he, the thing that always stuck out to me is like, Red is an artist. Red paints shirtless, and Chloe enjoys the view. And he calls her out on it later, like, did I see you looking? I feel like I saw you looking. There was some looking. And I do like that they call it out, because, yeah.
And she gets better about complimenting him as a human being, which I
Yes.
appreciate.
Yes, for more than just like for who he is as a person inside, and not just what he can do for her or how he looks or any of that.
Looks are great, but looks fade. Let's talk about who he is as a human, because he's a wonderful human also.
Yes, and I really liked that all the characters were extremely complex. Red is complex, Chloe, but even like the sisters are amazing. And the grandma, I just remembered the grandma.
You forgot the grandma?
I forgot the grandma.
Gigi is art.
Oh my gosh.
Marvel. Like, sassy old ladies are my top 5 things that will get me to read a book. If somebody ever comes up to me and is like, "Hello, I wrote a book about a grandmother slaying a dragon," I'd be like, "Hello, yes, I buy 5 copies. I distribute them to everyone I know and love." Yes. So Gigi's in this book, and I'm like, "Ah, yes, Gigi. Hello, Gigi." Yes. And it's so good.
Oh, she is beautiful. And we will give everyone fair warning. This is like a sauce level 5. On the scale of 1 to 5, this is a 5. There's lots of sauce. Maybe a 4.
4.5. Because, like, okay, I think a 5 would be like every other chapter, and it's not.
It's a 4.
It has like intense steamy scenes, but there's only like 2 or 3 of them. So yeah, I'd give it like a 4.
But they do exist.
They do exist. There's some spice in the sugar and spice, so be prepped. But hey, it's good. It's good spice.
It is. It's wonderful. All right, so Elizabeth fits the themes. Definitely rom-com.
Fits the themes. I do want to talk a little bit about the sequel and how it interacts with this book. Yes. Let's talk about, like, we talked about it. It's a rom-com, definitely. Let's talk about the type of rom-com. So this one is kind of, Danny Brown's the same. Pricklebush meets social charmer. Literally everyone likes Red. And the first thing that attracts him to Chloe is that she is a tiny hedgehog in human form. And then it's the same but reversed in the sequel, where Danny is the sister and she's the social charmer and is befriending the equivalent of angry face man. So like that's this pairing. Do we like this pairing particularly? Is this a fave? Because I know we've talked in the past about like faves on different. You like the sassy one
I like
that we
the
talked
sassy.
about last time, the like mutual sassing enemies sort of thing.
I definitely kind of like the whole idea of someone finding, everyone else will look at a certain person and be like, oh no, hard pass, hard pass. And that you can find that one person who's like, what do you mean hard pass? This is gold right here. And
Amazing.
yes. And
this is holding a hedgehog is what my hands are
yes,
doing.
yes, holding the little hedgehog of Chloe. And that, Red, because Red thinks that he's the prickle, that he's the cactus that nobody wants, that everyone just
That's
kicks around.
hilarious.
I know, because he's just love and squish.
And like all the old ladies in the apartment complex love him, and he unclogs their toilets. Like you don't get to be a pickle bush if you're unclogging the toilet for the
and
little
feed
ladies.
him.
It doesn't work.
Yes.
But feed him afterwards. Yeah, that doesn't fly.
No. But just the whole idea that, you have Chloe is definitely this person that she's kind of been rejected by so many people, and Red is definitely just flabbergasted by that. Like, I'm sorry, wait, what happened? What happened?
Yes.
Because he just doesn't understand.
The response is mutual too, where they're both like, excuse me, someone didn't think that you are the most amazing thing ever to walk this green earth? Who do I need to murder? Because I can. I'll go do it. Like, I love that that's both of their reactions.
Yes, so they're just like, I cannot understand or fathom in any way why there's not like a line out the door. There should be a line.
Yes.
And I think that's
I also
beautiful.
like I also like the trope in stories where the social charmer is able to let down some of that guard. Because that is a guard mechanism, just as much as being a prickle bush. They're both barriers to keep people at a distance. Is able to let some of that go and be like, okay, so I do actually have vulnerabilities. Hello, here they are. And somebody else can be like, that's okay. You're allowed to have vulnerabilities. You don't have to be perfectly pleasant all the time. It's fine. So I like that a lot. And then both of these novels actually have an interesting inversion. They have the girl's out for a good time and meets a guy who would rather like something more serious as a dynamic. So that's interesting. That seems to be something this author, at least in this series, is fond of. I don't know. I'm more new. Yeah, that's just an interesting thing.
Yeah. And then I know we had in our notes that if you wanted to read other books that had characters that had dealt with some sort of either emotional and or physical abuse, that The Flat Share by Beth O'Leary is really good. It's also a rom-com, so there is like that nice, like funny, romantic, like layering in with the more serious topic. And then A Gentleman Never Keeps a Secret by Cat Sebastian.
I think it's Never Keeps Score. Did I put Keeps a Secret?
Oh, no, you said Score, and I read it wrong. I'm sorry.
Sorry, Never Keeps Score. And that's the second book in a trilogy, but they're technically standalones because, like the Chloe Brown, Danny Brown series, they each follow a different person. Yeah, that might be a rough read for some people. So if you're interested in that book and want to know trigger warnings about it, let me know. But trigger warning for abuse, recovering from abuse, for this and for those.
Yeah, definitely. But overall, I feel like they did a really good job of explaining these really like complex issues in a really like clear way that the reader could understand and like empathize with the characters, but be very understanding of what was going on. Layered in with, like I said, the humor and the romance and the sauce, and everything was just perfect.
Chef's kiss. So good. Yes, I liked it too. I'm sitting on my hands, so I don't buy Danny Brown before payday. I'm not gonna do it. I'm not gonna do it. That's a lie. I'm totally gonna do it, but I'm not. I'll try to be good. I'll try to go to bookshop.org instead of Amazon. But yeah. Let's see. So yeah,
Taking the hold as soon as we're done.
I think this is marvelous. I think everybody should check this out.
Yes, definitely. And like I said, it's on Hoopla. It's totally free. Elizabeth read the physical book, so it's really good. I listened to the audiobook. It's also really good. The narration was really good because that is not always true with audiobooks.
Somehow I don't think we've mentioned that it's a British writer up until now.
Oh, and I believe the narrator had a British accent, but now I'm not remembering.
in the book, I remember getting like 3 or 4 chapters and being like, what is this phrase? And I had to recalibrate everybody's voices in my head because one of the phrases was like a Britishism. So just so everybody knows, read with your mental British accent because this
Yes.
takes place, these are British characters.
These are British characters, yes. All right, and so next week is a travel nonfiction book.
Yeah, I think, have we done one of those before? It's going to be
Don't
exciting.
think so. Yes. Reclaiming Home by, and if I mispronounce his name, I'm very, very sorry, Legesto Malepi?
I
Malapi?
think that's right. Lesego Malepe.
Yes.
Maybe.
I'm sure you totally said it right and I just slaughtered it. So
I'm pretty sure it's some weird fusion of both of ours because I've got no idea either. I should have looked at it.
I know I'm regretting my choices now without looking that up.
It's okay. Everybody look up the names so you don't make our mistake.
Yes.
And so that's going to be next week, same time,
Yes,
same channel.
absolutely. And check out all of our online programming at auroralibrary.org because we've got lots and lots of stuff, including we have Family Game Night on Fridays, so check that out on Zoom.
Oh, right. That's actually going to
Super
be tonight, isn't it?
Yes, tonight.
Sign up
definitely,
if you have it.
Yeah, check it out. We're this week is One Night Werewolf.
Right, One Night Ultimate Werewolf. So if you like bluffing and having a good time along that way, you should come by.
Yes.
We have a teen and an all ages, so no matter what your age, you can have a good time.
Yes, definitely check it out. All right, and thank you guys for joining us.
All right, thank you all very much. Bye. Bye.